As electricians, we've all been accused of getting something wrong, and when we look in the definitions in BS7672, it reads, electrician gets something wrong with the following statement: the customer has changed their mind. And that's what's happened here. Above my head, we've got two JCC ToughLED Pro fittings that we installed in a previous video, and we saw how incredibly fast they were to install, and I'll leave a link for that video in the description. But the customers come back and said this one over here, maybe after an audit, has now said it should have been an emergency fitting. So let's see how quick it is to convert it over. JCC are always trying to make electricians' life easier, and this is no exception. On the body you can see emergency pack, and when we turn over the emergency pack, it's got a tab which we need to locate into here. Once you've got it clicked into position, it's a simple case now pressing the other end in. That's the emergency pack secured. Our connections are driver input to AC input. That connection's made. Then we disconnect DC output and LED input and make a connection between the driver output and the DC output. Just reroute these two round. Now we're looking at LED input to LED output. Once that connection's in, it's one left. We've only got to put the LED charge indicator into position, and that is incredibly simple in order to fit our emergency pack. The main supply input now is at the other end of the fitting, therefore we're going to need to lift this tab here in order to make a connection for our protective conductor on the LED tray before we put it back onto the body. It's held in place with these clips. The wiring loom we saw in a previous video can go to either end of the fitting. We've disconnected it and moved it down to this end and made that connection for the protective conductor and the main supply. The LED tray now illuminates. We just clip it back out the way, and now we can see the tabs there on the side of the fitting are still in the upright position. Another great feature that we highlighted in a previous video. We hold back that LED tray before turning to the camera and giving it a little bit of smug mode. I truly hope the footage does it justice of how easy it was to fit that emergency pack. But a conversation with the customer soon drifts off to the price of energy. And is there any additional controls that can be inserted in order to save them money? And that brings me to the microwave sensor. It's a fantastic opportunity at the initial install to sell it as an upsell, but also is incredibly easy to retrofit it afterwards. So let's see how easy it is. The microwave sensor fits exactly the same to the LED tray as we saw with the emergency fitting, and we have the ability to change the detection area, the hold time and the daylight sensor with these piano switches. We're going to clip it into position, but first of all we need to remove this section within the tray in order that the microwave sensor passes into it. Once it's held into position, it's just a case then of unraveling the lead so we can connect the mains out to the AC input at the other end of the fitting. Once that's been done, we've got the mains input section at the other end, so we're going to need to lift the tab again so we can make the connection for our protective conductor at the other end. I'm sure your train of thought's going exactly where mine did. So I've got the emergency fitted over here, I've got the microwave sensor one over here, but can you combine the two together? And of course you can with this JCC ToughLED Pro. Simple case of inserting your microwave sensor, making one connection to the emergency pack, and the other lead is available there for our mains input. You're almost at the stage now when you can walk away from this client. You're making everything look incredibly easy. Maybe now I've got those piano switches for that microwave sensor, maybe not to the client's requirements. Can I make any of those changes maybe using this handy remote control? I love a remote control, and this one's no different. You've got in the top left hand corner an on-off function, so you can turn the light fitting both on and off simply from this remote control. The button next to it is a disabled button, so this will turn off the sensor and just make it a standard light fitting. Next to that we've got the reset button. This will put it back to the position of which those dip switches or piano switches were set inside of the actual sensor. Next we've got our detection area, and this goes from 25, 50 and 100%. Under that we have the hold time, anywhere from 5 seconds to the infinity symbol. And at the bottom we have our daylight sensor, where we go between 5, 15 and 50 lux, but this can also be disabled with this button here. You've got two choices now. You can look at the backdrop now at the end of the video and compare it to the start of the video and have a little game of spot the difference, or you can check out the video over there that shows how incredibly quick these are to fit.